All right, how's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining us for another stream of Mission Briefing. I'm very excited for today. I have with me Jerome Hardaway. Thank you for joining me. He is the founder of VetsWhoCode. I think he might have froze for a sec. There we go. Boom. He's back. I was just giving you a quick introduction. Jerome, do you want to take us deeper into VetsWhoCode, yourself, how this came to be? Yeah, because I'd love to hear that. I'm sure everyone else would too.
Roger that. How am I coming in? Coming in good?
Yeah, you're good. Yep.
Awesome, cool. My name is Jerome Hardaway. I am I like to say the head geek of Vetsu Code or geek at arms, but I guess I'm old enough now to actually be the executive director. By day, I'm a dev evangelist for Quicken Loans. At night, I'm the executive director of Vetsu Code, a 501c3 that is veteran founded, operated, and led that teaches veterans how to write code in the JavaScript ecosystem. To date, we've helped about 252 veterans learn how to write code and get jobs in 37 states with a total social impact of 17.6 million.
Woo! 17.6 million. 37 states, you said? Across 37
Yep,
states?
37 states. I'm like
Wow.
Pokemon. I'm trying to catch them all though. So
Oh, this is amazing. And so I asked you this before, but just for everyone on the stream as well. How long ago did you start Vetsu Code?
I started VetsWhoCode 2014. It's my first year of coding. Long story short, I was already coding. I had my first job. I was actually a marketing. I was the digital marketing admin. But when you're the youngest person in the room, you know what happens is all the old people are like, "Hey,
No,
you
social
should be."
media.
Yeah, social media. Learn. Hey, our website looks bad. Fix it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I spent 80% of my time writing code, doing lab stack, learning PHP, and learning to hate PHP. And so that's like kind of been learning how to code, right? I'm like helping a family that has just had a tragic incident. Help them raise $10,000, 27 hours, using my skills I learned with coding for them. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm good. Bye. I'll see you guys later. See you guys never. Whatever. And people are like, oh no, you just can't go back into the ether like you didn't exist, like you just didn't do something dope. Like you gotta like compound on this. So I end
Yep.
up, okay, so what else am I going to do? I'm like, well, coding's kind of giving me this superpower because I've learned like it's not being able to code is what you're like, it's the level of impact that you have with code, right? So, which is like a big secret that like I try to teach our juniors. So I'm there and I'm like, okay, well, let me try to help other veterans learn how to do this. And we go through this journey of of teaching veterans how to code. And in my first year, I ended up teaching veterans how to code. And it just gets the attention of the White House and the president at the time, Barack Obama. He's like, yo, you should come here and talk to us about this.
What?
So I get yeah. So I'm there. I'm invited by 50. I'm one of 50 people that were invited to the White House. I was the only nonprofit though, and the only person who was in education and technology. And mind you, I don't teach teaching. Like that's
Yeah.
how crazy it is. Like I don't have a teacher's accreditation. I never went to school for teaching or any of this stuff. I just love the idea of like sharing knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And customizing it around culture, which I guess gave me an advantage, right? Like I am a veteran teaching veterans,
For
right?
sure.
So it was easier because I knew that everything that they go through, I've
That domain
experienced as well.
knowledge.
Right?
You
Yeah,
know that life. It's your life. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So like was just like everything, and I haven't stopped going. As you see me on Twitter, I haven't stopped.
Wow, yeah.
I'm on internet all the time, especially outside clothes right now. Like I'm just doubling down on all the work I can do. And people are like, "Man, you do so much."
So much.
You're an animal, and I'm like, well, there's nothing else to do but work, so I might as well get this work done, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can either focus on the problems that I can't control, or focus on the things I can, and like I can control this. Let me double down on this. So, I'm sitting there now, and I'm the executive director. We have 252 veterans. Like at any given time, we have around 100, 102 people in the Slack channel talking, and we have our teams now that our veterans are on. Like we have the podcast team, the blogging team,
So
tutorial
cool.
team, product, EDU. Everybody on EDU, they EDU is the crux of our program where these are the people that the new troop with for 16 weeks, right? And everybody on EDU is a veteran that came through the program,
Do the
learned how to
cohorts.
code, and got a job and were employed for at least a year. Like it's the only team that we have that you've had to be
Yeah.
employed for a year to even get on,
Yeah.
and it's so cool that I'm like this is my first cohort coming up in August, and I'm gonna teach, but I haven't taught in like 2 years because the guys who I taught, they've been teaching the cohorts and helping the cohorts get on, and like and they, to still reach this number that we've been doing, it's like, yo, this is insane,
Yeah.
because a lot of our secret is, we don't focus on we focus on building talent, not making them feel like talent. Like we treat it like a boxing gym. Our ideas of training to learn how to program is very much, it's a skill, and skills pay the bills, so you have to drill those skills. Like, we
Yeah.
got bars, right?
Yeah.
So worst rap ever. um yeah,
I could do
right.
worse,
I'm
I
not gonna.
promise.
They're not gonna. I'm not gonna. I should definitely keep my day job. They're not gonna give me a new. No one's gonna cut me a record deal. So yeah. So like we do all of this, and like as a one unit, and focusing on like this is the boxing gym. This is where you mess up all the time, and this is where you're gonna get all your lumps. And
Yeah,
want the training hard here, so the interviews are easy there. And like, we make it tough intentionally because we want you to win. Like I
for
tell everybody, like,
sure.
no,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna bring the pain, but just know that I'm bringing it
Bring the pain.
because like oh yeah, I tell them all the time. That like the students we made an announcement, I'm coming back for the fundamentals course.
Oh, you
The
scared them.
people who don't know any better, the students, they're like, hey, awesome, we get the OG. The people who have gone through the OG, they're like,
Yeah,
oh
no.
no, you're gonna get tortured. Like, no, Jerome gives so much homework. Like, however much homework you ever got in the cohort, just triple it. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and he's creative with his homework. You'll say something, he's like, you know what? That's a
That's
good
homework.
question. You have to do this. Yeah, that's homework.
Yeah.
And then one student, he said, oh no, like he told everybody that he had never saw the cartoon Dragon Ball Z. And
Oh,
I was like, oh my God, no, you've never seen
homework.
Dragon Ball Z? So I made him go the weekend, watch Dragon Ball Z, and make a code pen of Dragon Ball Z. Then I was
That's
like, wait,
cool.
have you ever seen Stranger? It was like when Stranger Things just came out. I was like, have you ever seen Stranger Things? Have you ever seen Avengers? Have you did? And everybody, and the other people were like, I never seen this movie. I was like, oh no, you're going to
Code
do
pen.
homework on Stranger Things. Yeah, code pen on Stranger Things. Code pen on this. And everybody, end of it, everybody had homework. They're like, yo, we just learned just not to talk when Jerome's
That's
around
it.
because anything you say can be turned home. Like he's very good at finding out how to give homework. I was like, they're like, well, you like one person's like, did you like go to school like at a Catholic school or something? Like you're like a nun when it comes to homework. I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know if nuns would like you saying that, but no.
That's so funny.
But that
But that seems like
I
homework that's like born organically, which is like interesting and it gets you closer to the subject matter.
it's homework birthed into how the real programming world like
That's
works.
true.
You may not know anything about stuff like same way with GraphQL. Like, all right, you may not know about it, but now you have to research it and learn how to build with it in order to adopt,
Yeah.
be able to use it
Yeah.
to get the job done. So like, oh yeah, I give you subject, and you have the tools to do to do the research and execute the work. So like that's what I'm all about, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is how it would happen. And I love Kanban. I'll put the ticket on the board for them, and they're like, he's going like bananas with these like Kanban tickets. I'm like, yeah, I am. And like,
Welcome
I'll be,
welcome to the job, right?
yeah,
Like yeah.
and that's the secret of VWC.
Yeah.
We like you learn Kanban week one, right? And when you
Yeah.
understand, you gotta start putting your homework is tickets on the board week one, right? And we start telling them like you build your own Kanban board so you can like on your build a project on GitHub your own Kanban so that way you can keep up with your stuff. And and like I'm building out compound boards with them, and like also moving when stuff should be done and when stuff isn't
Yeah.
done, like what should be in progress, what should be done each week. Like they're like, this dude is he's a monster, right?
Yeah, but that's the day. That's the day to day. Like
Exactly.
90% of jobs you're gonna go to.
Going back to boxing, going back to the military, you train how you fight,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we train work, right? And that's what like school stuff like that's what they were all missing. It's a lot of like we teach you how to code, but versus let's teach you how to code professionally. Like, right? I can teach you how to box, but there's a difference between aerobic boxing and preparing to get into a ring. Like, and meet
Absolutely.
up with somebody that's trying to take your head off, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like,
Uh,
and that's how I approach. That's how we approach VetsWhoCode. I mean, that's how we approach teaching how to code, right?
yeah. Who is it? Mike Tyson said like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's kind of like, you
He
know.
is telling the truth. Like, yeah, you always
Yeah.
have an idea of what you're gonna do until that first punch. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like the stack we teach, which like kind of paired well with GraphQL and Apollo, is Jamstack, right? JavaScript
Yeah.
APIs, and we did this for the veterans, right? We want to put something in production that the veterans on GitHub to have an MIT license that was actually making money and make those W's, they are W's, their W's, and they could push something from the develop branch into prod, and say that they're a piece of this, right? Like that was the whole idea, like, and
Yeah.
teach them exactly how we um teach them exactly the stuff that we use as well, and like how the market's going. Like more and more of the market is getting chewed up by two things: APIs and JavaScript, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, being able to manipulate APIs and get data from them, and being able to use JavaScript, that's going to get you, super far, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we focus on the whole time, like with a lot of deep diving in JavaScript and how to use APIs.
It's very
And
smart. And you have to look at availability of jobs too as well, right? And like where are the, where are the
yeah,
jobs?
not not only availability, you have to look at availability, you have to look at time that the student has, you have to look at the attention span that the student has, right?
Yeah.
Because these are not children in middle school and high school. These are adults who just came from the military, so who have families, right?
Yeah.
Like so their attention is split from like dealing with kids, work, wife or husband. Like these are all things that they have to juggle day to day, right? So you have to do what we like to call smarter, not harder, and like figure out what's the best way to help people while also like maximizing the amount of time
For
they're
sure.
doing. And it works. I've never understood why none of the other code schools like figured out how well this was working and adopted it. Like, I was like, it has to be because of the price point, like at this point.
It's
Because I
got to
was
be.
like you can't justify like because you can't justify a $17,000 price point if you're teaching Jamstack,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Like in reality, it'd be like 7,000 if you're teaching Jamstack. So like I was
Oh,
like, okay, that makes like we don't understand because like it works. It's worked 252 times, right? We've been doing
yeah.
Jamstack since we started as a JavaScript and Rails education. Quickly moved away from that because we felt like I felt like teaching two languages is stupid, and like you're new to code, you need to learn how to code professionally. You're gonna go juggle back and forth when you're just learning how to code and
Oh,
learn two languages. So we help those people, but then
never.
I was like, that's too much work, right? So we dropped Rails completely and just focused on JavaScript with the mean stack first, and then once React started getting more popular, we
Yeah.
did mean and MERN. But then when we saw like serverless was coming out, people were like, you know what, I think bet on serverless early. When I said this 2 years ago, and people thought I was like outside of my mind. I was like, no, hear me
No.
out.
Yeah.
I think like 2016, like, but that was already a wild year, right? But no, so
Yep.
that's 4 years ago. Oh my god. So people just like, that's a bad idea. And I was like, what
It's a
about
great idea.
the data? They were like, what? Yeah, now, right? Same way with starting a nonprofit, being remote first, right? That was a bad idea in
Yeah.
2014 because people were accustomed to, buildings that they could put the brick on with their name on it and stuff. Easy, like ways to, create bloat to
Oh,
justify the crazy budgets, right?
yep.
But then, outside closed, and my idea of having a remote first nonprofit didn't seem too crazy. Like, COVID's happened, and it's been business as usual. Like, I didn't, because I work, it took me a full week to realize it. I automate everything, and like I literally had to go on Facebook and be like, oh, the world's going crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Because like Amazon everything, or I do ClickList or Amazon, like Whole Foods stuff. I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense, like, to leave house and I don't have to. And like, education
Yeah.
is education regardless where you are. And scaling education, this is going to be the future, right? So we've been like, I've been future focused. Even like now, I'm looking at the next thing that's going to be hot, like, you know, even with education, like in the next 5, 6 years. Like, I'm like, homeschooling is going to be normal. People are going to have an
Yep.
education room in their home, a room dedicated just towards education. Like, gyms are going to go extinct. People are going to have their own home gyms, like, or Peloton. Like,
Yeah.
I am in stock in Peloton because I think Peloton is going to blow up.
They are blowing up. I know so
Like,
many
I'm
people
looking at
getting
how.
them. Yeah.
Exactly. I am
Yeah.
looking at the world as what it's going to be forever changed in 5 years. And I'm like, trying to make sure I adapt to that same way as I did in 2014. I was like,
Yeah.
remote education is going to make sense because remote work is going to make sense because you don't want your talent to be just diminished to where
The
you are,
location.
because you can make talented developers anywhere. Could you
Anywhere.
the best of both worlds, like, right? So if, let's say you're a talent, like, great example, Nader Bit, right? He Nader, is it Nader
Natter
Dabit?
Dabbit.
Nader Dabit. I messed up his name. I'm so sorry, man. You see this? Um, he's a super talented guy in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi,
Yeah.
right? Let's imagine if AWS like had decided they weren't going to go remote and not have a guy like him on the team, right?
Yeah.
Same, another person, Angie, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
Angie is a credit to any like talent that, like, any company that can pick her up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how, like, just could you imagine, like, oh well, because she doesn't live here, I'm gonna say no to Angie because she doesn't want to move here.
Yeah.
You would be the dumbest dev team on earth,
So dumb.
right?
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna pass Angie up
Yeah.
because she doesn't want to move to Fayetteville, North Carolina?
Right.
Like, okay, that's not smart.
Yeah.
So like, that's like, and it goes both ways to education. Like, I did not want to be held down what type of education I could give veterans, or like the type of veterans that like only might be in my area, right? I wanted
Yeah.
to be have a national impact, and because I felt like veterans deserved it. Like, they've already earned that stuff, right? So
Certainly
when I
have.
was flying back and forth between New York and San Francisco, is learning everything I could from like Rockstar. Really grateful of my opportunities to be able to hang out with like the smart guys like Paul Ford, to like the just way smarter guys like Scott Hanselman, and like learn and absorb stuff from them, and walk the halls of Facebook and not even work there. Like,
Yeah.
like my first 2 years was like crazy. I picked up and absorbed so much, and ideas of thought processes and thought leadership from leaders at FANG companies, and just people who just did amazing stuff. Like Paul and Scott, like, they're like my de facto like heroes, right? Like,
Yeah.
Scott,
They're good examples of like community builders and just yeah.
Scott
They're
isn't a
so good.
community builder. Scott is a machine, right? Scott
Yeah.
has
Right.
doing, Scott has somehow figured out how to have a wife and kids and job and podcast, do projects, speak for 20 years straight without missing a beat,
Yeah.
right?
Blows my
That's
mind.
insane. Like, superhero. He needs his own comic book. Needs to be a part of the MCU. He could be like whoever. Like, he could be like elemental that like keeps all the secrets and stuff. Like he could be the dude.
Ooh,
Like he should have been the
the
collector. Yeah,
Watchers. Yeah, or
yeah.
Collector. Yeah,
Or he
that's
could be a
it.
watcher, right?
Yeah.
Now we can put him in DC, and he could be the dude that all the guys that be having the rings for the Green
Oh
Lanterns,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's who he would be, right? And Paul, he's very Promethean, and like I have like that type of streak and desire to be very Promethean in my career, and like he can ignite sparks in people and make people think like in a different way, and that's
Yeah.
the thing that I've always wanted to emulate and things like that. Like Paul Ford, his "What is Code" from Bloomberg. I think right? Like he's the only person to ever, he's the first person to write an entire magazine around one article. And like that's gonna be a collector's item in 20 years, right? Because it's never
Yeah.
been done, and it's never been done to the point where a magazine sold out. Like he holds the record. He's the only person to ever get Bloomberg magazine to sell out. Like that's amazing. Like that
That
record
is
was like
wild.
Bloomberg's been around like 100 years or something, right? Like
Yeah. A long time. I don't know how long they've been around, but
like
I'm sure it's a long time. That name is just like Bloomberg. Yeah.
like that's when you think of these like milestones, like yo, that's Drake level writing right there.
Yeah.
You dropped an article like a book, like that's literally the same as dropping a mixtape like an album. Like just they were right there on their bull, right? Like oh,
Yeah. Like
like, yo,
I guess we'll make it a magazine because it's technically an article, but it could be a book.
yeah, it's like, yo, watch this. Like, oh wow, y'all out here doing it real big, huh? Y'all just going like Weezy like Carter 3 out here. Okay, cool.
Yes.
A funny
That's
story.
awesome.
Cher and I, we did a Cher. She has a podcast called Stoked FM,
Yeah.
and we were talking about programming, and we ended up going from programming to rap, and we were talking about Lil Wayne during the Carter 3 era, and how it just made no sense that people were inviting this man like onto their albums, like do stuff, because he would get on your song, on your track, and he would outperform you on your own song, and he did that for like a year straight. And I was like, who would invite this man to get on their album? Like
Yeah.
after that, like, I would never invite Lil Wayne to like, nah, you can sing the hook maybe, but you can't
Hey, you
you
want to
can't
come
write
on
a
my
verse.
track and outshine me really quick? That's amazing.
Like Kanye West said he heard, no, was it Eminem? He said he heard Eminem's verse and he went back and wrote his 2 days. But he said, well, I've heard Lil Wayne, like he's had a Lil Wayne track, jump on a track, and he said I didn't even release it because I didn't want to have to deal with that. Like, yo, that's amazing. Like, yeah, I just paid the man and put it in the vault. Like
Yeah.
that's the type of talent, energy I want to bring to the game, right? So
Oh
like
yeah.
when it comes to helping veterans, like I'm like people always say, Jude, you're very excited. I'm like, I have the greatest like job on earth, right? I work at a company where my entire job is to be talented, and at night I get to help like our nation's heroes and their spouses
Like
like
how can
keep
you?
the American dream. Like how can you not be this lit? Like,
Yeah.
people see like, oh, he's talking about push-ups at 8 p.m. I'm like, I need to get the blood pumping because man,
I got
like,
more to do.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I am like, it's kind of like a video, right? Loki drops, like I'm burdened with glorious purpose, right? I love that line because like that's how it is. Like I have the country's craziest, coolest mission, right? I get to use code to change the lives of our nation's heroes, right? Like I can
Yeah.
like, with JavaScript, like remember 30 years ago,
With
JavaScript was a toy.
JavaScript.
JavaScript. Now it's like the most powerful language in the world, and I'm helping people put food on the
It's
table for their
everywhere.
families with it.
It's
Like
changing lives. Yeah.
I bet you like Brandon Ike is like, yo, I did not think I made this like I was in a rush. Like this is like my
Yeah.
worst work ever, and y'all out here crushing it, right? like wow, ever
Yeah.
do something by accident and be dope. Like I said, like that. Those are the things like I want to bring to the community. Like all any of the bad things. Like, I want to bring that type of energy. Like I want to create dopeness by accident, right? Like I
Yeah.
want to keep pushing and like keep like helping veterans, and like even now, like I've expanded and I'm helping two super rising stars. If you guys aren't following, you're making mistakes.
Uh-oh. I mean,
Justin
let's drop some ads. Let's go take a look.
Justin Samuels, he's doing rebuilding black businesses,
Okay.
and I feel bad because I
Well,
only
let's
know
see.
this guy by
By his Twitter handle?
yeah, yeah, Thug Debugger. Yeah, I know Justin by his Thug Debugger. I love that Twitter handle. Like it's funny to
There we
me.
go.
Like yeah, yeah, he is rebuilding black businesses. He's like he's been pushing with all types of conferences. He did in stream in color first virtual remote conference. It was 24. I know it was I think 48 hours straight. Like yeah, people talking 48 hours straight, streaming nonstop. Did this all at home from a MacBook Pro. I was like, yo, this is insane.
I'm
Like that is the
streaming
most
from a
lit thing
MacBook
ever.
Pro right now. It's wild. I can't believe that this works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but imagine doing it for 48
Oh, no,
hours
no, no,
straight.
no, no. I,
Like, oh,
yeah, the longest I've ever been on a stream was almost 4 hours one time, and like afterwards, I felt like I don't even know. I felt like I was like
you
coming
felt
down from a
great.
high or something. Like I just felt my brain was fried. I was like done.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, adrenaline like just
yeah,
dumps,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
then no, excuse me, I think you might have felt followed it's Juneteenth.
yeah. Juneteenth. Yeah,
Yeah, the Juneteenth that conference. Like, yo, I know his Twitter handle is Brownie Points. Like
yeah.
he's like
Actually, let me
I'm
flip
I
over.
talk to him all the time. And he like man, that guy like gonna be a monster in the game. Like cause he's already there he is right there, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Brown.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, Michael. He's a monster in the game. Think about it. His first like conference, he pulled together in two. He
Yeah,
pulled this conference together 2 weeks.
yeah.
All the black star tech star power
It
involved.
was
Like,
amazing.
yo, like if they had melanin and were a rock star, they were there. And like, yo, it was lit,
Yeah, that's
right? And
awesome. Yeah.
like, the number one complaints, the can complaint that like other conferences be like, oh, there's not enough like black tech talent to get on our conferences and
Yes,
stuff.
there
And he
is.
in 2 weeks he got a conference that did the entire thing with
Yeah.
nothing but black people. And we were like, yikes, man. You and me. I literally told him, I was like, you just like did a middle
Oh
finger
yeah.
in front of every major tech conference on the planet. I was like,
Yeah.
you just dropped this is the Carter 3 right here. I was like, this is
Seriously,
amazing.
and
Like you should be
threw it together.
and he yeah, he's so like humble and stuff.
Just
I'm
gonna
like,
say the
and he's
same
so
thing.
quiet with it. And I'm like, dude, I would be like, I'm like the guy, like that meme where the dude that gets like the medal, he bites the medal, kiss the lady,
Yeah,
so
on
it's like,
all
yo,
the
you're like
levels.
third place.
He's at the
Yeah.
bottom of the
Like,
platform, like, yeah.
I'm like, yo, dude, I'm like partying like a rock star on any W. You're sitting here acting like you did like nothing. He's like, well, because of COVID, I'm not really outside, so I don't really know how it's impacting the community. I was like,
What?
yo, when outside gets open, you're gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
like, yo, man, you just embarrassed the entire like conference, right? Like that. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's amazing. I feel like I was part of history, my guy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was
So
really
like,
impactful stuff. Speaking of, did you see that Angie was the first black female added to
Java,
Java
yeah,
Champions? Isn't that awesome?
yes, I'm telling you, we coming for it all. We want the W's,
Well, yeah.
like, and I think that's kind of weird. Like,
It's yeah.
as much as the things have been like have kind of always been bad when it comes to like racial injustice and stuff like that. This time, like someone said it best, like this time feels different, right? This time, like especially with all the things, like even Twitter, right? In the middle of a pandemic, everybody came together to like let just say Black Lives
Yeah.
Matter, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, like that was amazing when you think like K-pop came out. Like I was like, who are these
Yeah.
guys? Like, are they spamming the other guys? Like, wow, this is beautiful. Like this is Avengers Endgame. And I was like, I have to. And I was like, and that's I think that's what kind of shot me up because like, you know, all the VSOs are around. Harsh reality is people like me exist. I am not an anomaly in the veteran game.
Yeah.
However, because I cannot be used as fodder for like conservative side talking points, they do not highlight us, and like and Democrats have dropped the ball and like, no, we got our own veterans pimping. So like we got our own heroes. Like, you know, I'm Captain America of the web. That's not de facto. Like I didn't just make that name up. Like a bunch of developers gave me that name, right? Like, no, that's the web's Captain America right there. And like it just stuck, right? So when I was running around, I was like, yo, man, none of the VSO leadership that I know are saying, and I'm like, I know they're upset about this stuff that's going on, right? You got to be, right? Because you know we swore an oath to defend and protect Americans from all threats, foreign and domestic. And then I'm watching a bunch of nuns get their or a bunch of people get their like First Amendment like rights violated on national TV. And I'm like, I'm looking around at the veteran population. I'm like, yo, ain't nobody gonna say this. Like, what were all those 2A guys and like about their militias and stuff? I'm like, it's happening on TV. Like, he just violated an amendment. I was like, you know what? I'll be damned if I'm not gonna say this. I was like, I don't walk with a limp every day for y'all to like run around here and like, cause I got injured in Iraq. I'm like, I don't walk around for y'all to limp for this type of stuff to happen. I was like, nah, forget this. Like,
that's not what you fought for.
Like, nah, like, I did not fight for this. Like, what the hell is going on? And why are you people saying something? And like, and we're all the we have to be able to have our crazy firearms to protect people from the government people. I'm like, where are you? Like, where's the outrage? I am angry right now. And people are like, wow, you're the first veteran I've ever heard say that. I was like, I'm not the first veteran I've heard. It's like, we're all going off in my Slack channel. Like, what? Like literally stuff was going on. My phone was going off from other veterans, and they were like, yo, what's going on? Like, I am so pissed. Like, I had one veteran hit me up, so angry and in tears. So you know how hard it is to make a veteran so mad that they are crying. Like, first and foremost, I am scared when people get angry to the point where they start crying because I'm like, somebody's about to get beat up.
That's a lot of emotion in there.
Yeah, he was like, this is abysmal. Like, I went 2 tours in America, and this is what's going on at home.
And
I was like, who you just want to talk to? I'm here. Like, I had, man, and that's so crazy about the veteran community, man, especially in tech, because we're real low key. But veterans, like, everywhere from Facebook, like, they were hitting me up, like, from Facebook HQ, and they were like, dude, this is bull. And I don't know, like, I had veterans at Facebook who were criticizing Mark Zuckerberg's leadership, like on the phone with me while at Facebook. I'm like, y'all just gonna talk shit about y'all boss in the room? I'm like, yo, that's lit. That's cool. I was like, that's brave. I mean, I don't think I can do it, but cool, whatever. And it's just like, it just snowballed out of there. People saw what we were doing and how we moved, and like, next thing you know, I woke up with 1,000 more followers. Like, why? Who are these 1,000 new people? Like, who are these people I'm gonna upset? Like, y'all, hey, everybody, I still like my name is Jerome. How you doing? I like JavaScript. Black Lives Matter. I was Air Force. It's cool. Like, let's talk about cool stuff. And I kind of took, because of my combat experience, because I was security forces, and like I tell people all the time, like, I'm not one of those talented like Air Force, like Pentagon guys that you guys are imagining in the Air Force. I carried an M4 and an M9 every day to work. So I understand these type of like emotional situations that everybody was feeling at the time. So I was trying to keep everybody positive at this time, even though I myself was angry, because I was like, there's a lot of work to be done, and you cannot you can't do this work while you're coming from a place of emotion. You have to be able to mitigate it. You know what's right. You know you're on the right side of history. All that's a fact. So you can't be emotional about it. You have to just GSD, get it done, right? So that was my philosophy. Like, that's what I was doing. I was telling people, like, no, breathe, drink water, like, go to sleep, like, work out. Like you have to keep doing it. You have to keep dominating. Like, and that's what like it's kind of happened now, right? We are like you see Angie. Angie isn't an anomaly, right? Angie's
No.
like,
Yeah.
they're. I mean, we literally say Black women are magical in our community, right? So like Angie's normal to us. Like no, like Angie out here doing like the dopest stuff like that. That's a Tuesday. It's cool. Um, but like it came like everybody started listening for the first time. I think that's what really like changed it. It felt like people were listening versus like just the normal outrage and everything would go away.
Yeah.
Like you looked at New York Times, like the top 20 books were all like books about like getting racism, like being able to see racism, like
Yeah.
white fragility, stuff like that. I was like, yo, this is amazing,
Yeah.
right? So like people wanted change, which is like how the only way did it. People, you can't bring up things if people don't want to. Like I don't know if we have like our pre-work protocols and stuff, right? Because people have to want to
Yeah.
change. Because like with coding, everybody looks at the bank account, but this stuff is still hard, right? So I got to make
Very
sure
hard.
you actually want to do the work. And the same thing with this. It's like, wow, people like everybody wants change, but this stuff is hard, right? So like you gotta make sure people don't want to do the work. And when I saw that New York Times, I was like, people are actually wanting to do the work. This is amazing. Like, yo, things might change right now for like lit. Like this is like I feel like you're like, yo, we're part of history. I'm like, this is awesome. And the first person to hit me up was Scott Talinsky and Wes Boss about what they could they do about like people underrepresented, and I was like educating them on like how to use their platforms to elevate and then get out the way
Yeah.
versus the idea of like, oh, let me mentor a woman or something
Yeah.
like that. I was like, no, they're already on that women. You need to be out there saying, yo, like that girl over there, she can code her ass off, and you
Yeah.
need to go hire her.
Sponsorship.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been telling people, make the hire, write the wire, right? So,
Yeah. I love
like
that. Yeah.
that's the whole thing that I was like, no, I was like, veterans, there are already talented veterans out there who can write code. Hire them. They're already talented. People who are Latinx, people who are LGBTQ, people who are black people, right? Women, right?
Yeah.
All these already exist, right? What we have to do is instead of saying, oh, here's our CFP, we're going to put it in our communities. We know, knowing already from the data that 75% of all white males actually have
That's what I'm
no
saying.
people of color in their network or women in the professional network. Like, no, we have to do that work. Like, even when I was in a .NET foundation, like I'm for their boards, even though I haven't written in .NET. So the biggest difference between me and everybody else that has ever been on this game is that I'm a boots on the ground person. I go into firefights first, right? So I'm gonna be that person that's gonna be talking to those young kids that are gonna be frowning at your framework. And saying that your framework's not legit because it's like for old people. I'm gonna be that guy that's like, no, like let's try this, let's do a few things, let's have some fun with it. I'm gonna make it like I'm gonna put, I'm gonna put the like fire in. I'm gonna bring the ruckus, as I like to say,
Yeah.
and the kids are gonna love it. Like I'm not like if you know .NET developers, it's pretty quickly. I am not like most .NET developers. Like, yo, you seem a little happy. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I am .NET community. Don't add me on Twitter.
Yeah, they're coming for you now.
Um,
.net. Watch
but
out.
like, it's just that's gonna be the weirdest Twitter beef ever. Like me arguing with a bunch of 40-year-olds. Like, what's going on, Jay? You falling? Like, I was like, man, I remember when like people like who could actually like beat you up used to call you out. Like, damn, it's a damn shame. Yeah. So not saying they can't. They probably can. Just strength in numbers. So like that's my gift. Like that's when it comes to my Promethean mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like when I think of like being all forward and stuff, it's always like I want to help people bring that fire to the world, right?
Yeah.
Like saying like my veterans, I tell them like my I've been told by one veteran that like it is so intimidating because I expect so much out of them. Like it's like you're like dad that we can't impress because you already like expect us to do this stuff. Like, because I mean, you wouldn't be in the same room with me if I didn't think you could do what everything that I could do. So like, I am not shocked. Like when Schuster, I remember when Schuster did his first conference and he was in he hit me up in Slack freaking out because the media was coming out to talk to him. And I was like, I remember when I had my first beer, like, dude, whatever. And he was like, oh, you're not very motivated. I was like, you came from the world's greatest military and you want me to like
Pep
baby
talk
you
you.
during like a media talk? Like, you got this, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
go out there and do it. And he's like, that's exactly what I needed. Thank you. And he went and did it, and he crushed his first conference.
Boom.
Because I was like now he's like, and he crushed his like big boy fame job interview, and now he works at Amazon, and he's like, dude, like it's wild working with you, beside you, because you're just not like nothing bothers you when it comes to us because you know, like you've already decided that we are the best. I'm like, yeah. I mean, because I've like, I put that same like weight on myself. Like, like people, the same way like I take that Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee thought process. Like, they were the best even when they weren't the best because they knew that they were willing to do the work to become the best, right?
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
secret of it. Like, you're willing to go on that journey and pay the tax to be the best, then you're going to be the best. Like, that's just,
Yeah.
nothing else to it. And like when I help my veterans, like I pride myself on being able to help like this many veterans. And I was like on Twitter, like I should be able to do more. Like I look at this, like how do I help women? How do I help black people? And like I only think I was like I should just highlight the people who are doing that great work and see how I can help them with their jump start.
What
Like
they're
I
already
have
doing.
meetings with
Yeah.
people all the time. Like, look, this is how we did it. Yeah, this is how we did VetsWhoCode. This is how we cut down our costs. This is what we're doing. This is how we did it. You should do this like
You
this,
help
and this
me.
is why. Let's talk about
Yeah.
yeah, like exactly. Like I have these conversations because I'm like I want people to win, right? So and that's the end game. And I'm like I tell people all the time, I'm not your dad's executive director. I actually like putting like I'm 20 years younger than the average executive director. First and foremost, black. That's another thing.
Yeah.
That you guys haven't noticed. Like, but I'm a like I like that idea of infantry, Captain America, boots on the ground, stuff like. You know what? I'm like if there's a firefight, I'm there first, right? Like I'm on the front lines. I'm helping people. I am doing all the heavy lifting, and I'm gonna make everybody else be like, I step my right because that's the
Yeah.
only way you make people. In my experience, the only way you make people step their game up is by showing them how far your game is stepped up. Like when I step my game up, everybody around me steps their game up because they're like, I don't want to be looking bad. Like, I had my cousin, she was here on vacation once, and I woke up one Saturday and I just turned on the TV and took my phone out, went on Front End Masters, and shot a video up to Front End Masters or Chromecast, like because I
Yeah.
always try to dedicate like 20 minutes at least to education for myself.
Yeah.
And like then my wife, she saw it and she was like, well, let me go read a book. And then my cousin, she went to go study. And I was like, what you studying? And she was like, well, I felt bad that everybody around me was making themselves a better person but me.
And here I am
And
sitting here. Yeah.
it is like leading by example. People hear me know about waking up at 04:30 and I'm dedicating time
Yeah.
to education before like because I wake up super early because that's the only time I can dedicate education before like my phone starts going off because once the sun is up like in the East Coast people start
Done.
hitting me up,
Yeah.
right? It's done. I can't get better, right? So I have to wait till everybody sleep to get better, right? I have that Jocko Willink no days off mentality when it comes to coding and my education, right? Like I have to like no days off, always there, always reading something, always learn something. Don't let the GitHub fool you. It's super deceptive. Like I don't be pushing the Git all the time because I have
No.
if I do, it's super. Like nah, like real G's move in silence like the G in lasagna, man. Like
Ah,
you can't be out
that's
here
hilarious.
like you can't out here and look at the cover like because I tell people all the time I've been in the game for 6 years and look at my W's.
Yo, go
There's
look at
a
mine.
reason.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nah, there's a reason why I'm busy. So don't judge me off my GitHub.
No, yeah, my contribution graph,
So
it looks pretty slim, but a lot gets
I think
done.
I'm like at 100. Yeah, a lot gets done. Like that's the difference between like leaders and like workers, right? Like you can push the code, but are you pushing the reasons of why to code? Like, all right, you can either like I believe that coding is the bare minimum, right? Like what we should be doing is elevating the why of the code and what you can do and how you can help people, right? Code is a tool, is lightning in a bottle at the tip of your
Yeah,
fingerprints. It's a weapon. It is like it is de facto, like especially with the rise of like serverless technologies and stuff. It is the most empowering things under privileged communities planet right now. Because look at what I've done with VetsWhoCode. I've injected 252 people from one that I account to 1% of the nation into an industry where the lowest salary is usually like $50,000. And that's
yeah,
without a college degree, right?
yeah, yeah,
Think about that. That is
yeah.
scary, right? That is
It's
the
a,
power of code. That is like the, science plus magic that we have,
it
right?
changes lives.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. Like we change, like those of us at the front lines of like this type of stuff. Angie, you, me, all this. We're not trying to write code. We're trying to change lives, trying to have impact. Like yes, we do it for the name of our companies and like our causes, but we all have the like as tech evangelists, we all have the same passion and mission, which is to change
Help
lives. We want
help
to.
people succeed. That's it.
Yes, we want that. And yes, we want to be Promethean. We want to ignite the fire that changes the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, minus to having an eagle eat my liver every day. But yeah, but like, like I was telling you earlier, like my favorite book as a child was Journey into the West with the Monkey King. Like for you guys at home, it's a monkey born out of stone. It's the only monkey that knew how to talk, so became king of the monkeys. And he goes on his journey to fall to become like a god, right? And he has Nimbus. The clouds for. He has Nimbus. He has a 10-foot pole. Everything is literally it's what Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is based off of. Like it's amazing, right? So like you got love it, read it. Like you're gonna like it's amazing. Like the Monkey King Journey into the West is awesome, awesome book. Uh,
I just dropped a link to it in the
that's
chat.
yeah, like I love that book. Like it's my favorite. Like I'm trying to find like a version of it with a dope cover, so like I could just have it around the house. Because I try to talk to my kids about it, and they're like, "This is a huge book. Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I know this is
Uh,
magic right here.
so I
But
real quick derailment. I've been reading to my kids like every night, and I decided I wanted to try like a more long form book, like something that I would just read to them, no pictures. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do Journey to the Center of the Earth because like that's fun, Like I remember it as being fun. I haven't read it in so many years. So I sit down and read it to them, and just the way it's written, I'm like, why do you use like 80 words to say like, like he opened a book, or like handed someone
but
a sheet of
that's how they
paper?
drew you in. Like you remember. I remember back in the day, like when I was in like sixth grade, one of my favorite books was War of the Worlds, right, by
Oh, War of the
H.G.
Worlds.
Wells, with a time
I love
machine,
that book.
Count of Monte Cristo, right?
Yeah,
Like, yo, like these
yeah,
books, these guys had such a way, like they had that polysyllabic vernacular that they would be rappers in this day. Like
yeah.
they would be like common. Like that was like who they like
Yeah.
common most deaf. Like that's who
Must
they
have.
would
I was
be.
just say.
Yeah, Andre 3K. Like that's
Yeah.
like how like they were these are the bars of the days, right? William Shakespeare. I don't know. See, that's the tough one because William Shakespeare was good, and I just don't like Eminem is good, but he's not William Shakespeare good. So
No,
who I put? Who
I
would
don't
be
know.
this era as William? Like, dang, dude, that's a toughie. I'm gonna not Macklemore, definitely not him. Uh,
Macklemore. Thr-
that's funny.
Thrift shop.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna see this. He's like, yeah, they man, the
Yeah,
nerds are
yeah.
making fun of me.
You're gonna
Like,
have
yeah, that's how
.net
famous.
after you, Macklemore after you.
Yeah,
By the time this goes live.
I know, right? It's gonna be a
Oh,
wrap.
rock
Like,
him. Rock him.
Rock him,
Libby
yeah,
in the chat said rock him, yeah.
yes, like that's who. All right, yeah, I give Rakim that, but like definitely not Macklemore. Like no,
Yeah.
Macklemore is
Uh,
a bad
Chuck
rapper.
D. I forgot about, yeah, Chuck D. That's
Who would be Chuck D? Yeah, yeah. These are would be the guys.
yeah.
Like man, but that's like it's so like amazing how those books were, and that's like when you still remember it
Yeah.
because read like 80 words of like he opened a book, right? Like
Yeah.
dang,
Yeah.
he lit a candle and opened a window and the wind
That's
came
it.
in ever so gently.
Read like the old script that had like a note that told him where to find like the crater to the center of the earth. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But when you're kids though, when
Yeah, like that's what made it.
yeah,
No, it's not our fault. The kids are all like Fortnited out, and
yeah.
as a result, like they have the attention span of I don't know goldfish.
Yeah.
So they're like,
Well, they're like
if
they're
it isn't explosions in fruit
That's
boxes, they
it.
can't keep
That's
up. Like,
it.
look at
Yeah. And
this, right? No,
they're six and
not your
four.
fault.
They're 6 and 4. So like it's just a
Oh,
little too much for them at that age.
that's the wrong book.
Yeah,
That's the wrong book
exactly.
for
I was way too
zero.
much. I abandoned it. It's so funny. My daughter raises her hand. I'm like, you don't have to raise your hand. What is it? And she's like, this is good. I like it. But when are they gonna get to the center of the earth?
I can see that. Like, yo, when like wrap it up. Like,
Yeah,
did she put the Academy Award like app out for you? Like,
yeah. She's like, I like
oh, you know
it,
what?
but let's go.
But that's what they learn in a different way. I saw someone on Twitter talking about how their niece figured out how to put the phone on accessibility options because she can't read. So she's
Oh,
using
that's
accessibility
clever.
on like on the iPhone because she can't read. And like how they do voice messages and like then you'll text like them back and they get mad at you because like you didn't use voice message back. And it's so funny. Like somebody they shared like, oh, my little cousin he sent me voice message. I wasn't thinking. I text them back and they text me when they did a voice message back on text message yelling at me because they're like, I can't read yet. Like, what is that? I don't know anything that means. Like, you gotta say it. I'm like, yo, man, technology is really equalizing like
It's
how
interesting.
we just do things. And it's just especially with kids, it's like so
Yeah,
I've seen babies, especially like 2 year olds just get on iPad better than like 60-year olds. Like, man, like this
my
is
kids,
embarrassing. And I've seen a grandma. She had like a better setup at her home than me when it came to tech stuff.
like
She's
her
like, well, all my
computer.
kids, yeah, yeah. She was like 70, and she was like, well, all my kids have
Just
left like the city.
yeah,
So, and like one's in Seattle, one's in Washington, the other one's in the UK, and this is the only way I get to communicate and see my grandkids. So,
so
and that's the beauty of tech.
that's
People
cool.
or change in general, right? Like people adapt and change based upon the necessities of their lifestyle,
Yeah,
right? So that's like it's just the beauty of being like an American, right? You get to
yeah,
or just a human, right? You get to do that stuff, and like you have that, regardless of your age, you can get better and change, and like that's what
yeah.
we like do with VetsWhoCode. The oldest person I think I've helped so far is like 45 to become a JavaScript engineer, and they want to do
45.
DevOps using Node and Azure,
Nice.
like at 45, and I'm like, that's cool.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I only know this stuff because the board makes me like research this stuff now. Because me, I'm like, oh, you're a veteran? Oh, you did the pre-work? Oh,
Boom.
that's it. That's cool. I don't care. Boom, done. But then they're like, yeah, but what's our like numbers for LGBTQ and so that I'm like, I don't ask these people that. I'm not trying to date them. I don't know who does what. We don't drink. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like what are you talking about? Like, it's crazy. But like, no, we need those numbers so that way we can show our diversity. And so I'm like, all right, so now I'm having the awkward conversation with veterans, like, hey, I would like to know your like for our data. I like to know what like what's your like are you LGBTQIA? And they're like,
Huh?
why does that matter? Like, yeah, you they want that for our data
Yeah.
so we can share that with grants. And I'm like, I don't care that. Like, I like being donor
Yeah.
based because it puts that fire behind. It, yeah, it just makes me feel like as a
Grants are
person
a lot of
who
work for a little benefit. That's I've
nah,
done so much research. It seems so unworth it. Real quick, Todd Libby in the chat said he's almost 50 and he feels like he's got at least another good 10, 15 years programming. So, yeah.
that means you're focusing on too many things and you're not building something that matters. Like, here's what I do with my veterans, right? First class I do, I ask them to the pre-work, like let's start at the pre-work. I have them learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then do a profile site of them and deploy it, of the thing of who they are and the things they like. Then when they're in class, I ask them to write 3 things down that they are just on fire about, right? And then pick one website that they love and they visit all the time. That website that they visit, I make them go to coolers.com to any other website where they can take that website and get the color palette of it. Like, guess what?
Yeah.
That's your new color palette for your website. And these 3 things, you need to build projects around these things that you're on fire about. Right, and that's how you learn. Right, I don't know about becoming a programmer if it wasn't VetsWhoCode. I was on fire about helping veterans, so I did everything I could to learn and be better. Right, so and it's the same thing what I see across the board. When you're on fire with what you're building, when you have that passion, learning doesn't feel like learning. Learning feels like, I'm
Yeah.
doing something fun, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, he said he's 50. He is a programmer. And he's saying he's got 10 to 15
Oh,
more good years left in him.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I misunderstood that.
Yeah, yeah, but no, but that is a good point that like it's important to, especially for people like vets who are coming out or people who have situations where they can't devote, where they don't have the privilege to devote large chunks of time to being able to learn something like coding. And yeah, like you have to find ways to make it more enjoyable so that it becomes easier to maintain focus, feels less like work and more like something that
Not
um,
only that, like we have like these like in browser tools now. Like we have StackBlitz, we have Replit, we have who else do we have? We have CodePen, we have GitHub code spaces, right? We have all these tools now that you can work in the browser, like have an account working on a browser. Like you could go to the library, spend like 30 minutes on code challenges at the library on
yeah,
Replit, and then like just save your work, move on and push it to your GitHub and then move on. That is amazing, right? That we live in this world. Because you remember
it
like
really is.
2015, you couldn't do this stuff. Uh, 5 years ago, you couldn't do most of that 3 years ago. It's like the world that we're in right now. When it comes to learning how to code, it's never been more accessible. But it's still our job as developers to ensure people are aware of that accessibility, and b champion those who are doing great work, like regardless of how they look, right? And
Yep.
like especially those that aren't being represented, right? Like where are all the black women? Well, they're there. You're just not talking about them. Or where are all
Yeah.
the veterans? So
They're
no,
not
they're
in
here.
your
And
network. They're not in your circle. You need to widen your circles.
yes, and so that's what we have to do. Like right now, a project that I'm working on, I have a lunch and learn that I'm hosting on Wednesday, and it's about tech ethics, right? It's not, and I'm doing it all the way like because it's COVID and there are a lot of entry level developers and junior
Yeah.
developers out there that are still learning. So I'm starting this lunch and learn series where I'm inviting people to just talk to juniors, uh, just so juniors can you know, feeding the fire, right? Like, because that's part of our jobs as seniors,
Yeah.
right? We have to help junior developers, right?
Oh
We have
yeah.
to have, we have to leave people behind. So doing that. Then so I have a Dr. Lee Johnson from Christian Brothers. She is gonna be talking about tech ethics and like with data, big data, all this other stuff. Like it's gonna be lit, and I'm very
I
excited
can't
for it.
wait.
But
That
like
sounds awesome.
I'm also looking for open source stuff, and I'm asking people, and I think I'm probably gonna reach out to the whole community on this. I'm gonna start a repo. I'm like, yo, can you guys add tools to this that would make remote learning easier for parents? Because
Mm,
COVID, and I want to put the power into the parents' hands. Like, here's a list of things that you can
I
use
like that.
to help ease like remote education with your children at home because I'm in an area where they're like, no, we're open school. Like you're a damn lie. I'm not telling my baby no school in this. Like you crazy?
Oh, my kids aren't going to
You saw me
school.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, no, my kids almost had a mutiny in this house about social distancing. How on earth am I going to expect a bunch of teachers to handle them plus 50 more kids? Like,
Mm-mm.
no, that's
It
not.
ain't
Look,
gonna happen.
if I can handle my three and I control V-Bucks and Wi-Fi, they can't handle my three plus 50 more, and they don't have any of the tools that I have, right? So like, you can't say no to V-Bucks or turn off the Wi-Fi or
Yep.
take their cell phones. Like, what leverage do you have? Calling me? Like, no, right? That's crazy. So like, nah, I'm very much like, no, we're remote. Like, we were like, nah, we're gonna remote homeschool them this year and let things like play out that way. And I'm looking at like parents in our Facebook group, and they don't know anything about that. And like, this is happening in my community. It has to be happening in other communities, and maybe that's something that we as technologists should be like, yo, this is how you do it. These are the resources that we need to make sure they're set up. Or,
Yeah.
someone's floating an idea about paying a teacher that might not go to work like $250 a week to teach and stuff. And like, it's gonna revolutionize work and education because, it's going to go into quality based education, not quantity based education. I'm very excited for that because you can do like where you're gonna start seeing it. You can do in 4 hours the stuff that we're making kids do in 8, right? And they're
Yeah.
retaining it better and stuff like that. Like same way, like we do 2 hours of education a night with VetsWhoCode, and they retain it better than people who go to boot camps. So they're living and breathing it. Immersives, because I hate when they call it boot camps because I'm like, it's not a real boot camp because no one's yelled at you. Um, no one pays to go to a boot camp, right?
Yeah, you get paid to go.
So like, yeah, you get paid to go, but somebody's yelling at you the entire time, like the
Yep.
minute you get off the
Yep.
bus, right? Um, so like that's what I want to like really focus on over the next few like month because I know school is starting and parents who aren't technical they are afraid like they don't know
Yeah.
where to go to and just no one's writing this stuff out and that's like something like that's where we as technologists like we're like we should be out there like hey yo parents here's a list of everything you need it's free cool stuff to make sure that
I
your kids like
yeah.
do remote education right like
I
that's
thought
the
I
thing.
saw this. I thought someone had made like a doc or something. I'll try to find it. I'll tweet it out if I can find it. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think someone
please
did
do.
something like
That's
that.
why I was like, we should definitely be doing this as a community because I
Yeah.
know for a fact that the kid, like the parents in my community, they're all nervous and stuff. Except the parents are a little wild. They're like, no, everything's a hoax, which is very funny because the mayor
Everything's
in
a
one county
hoax.
up, he was like, it's a hoax, and then he and his wife got it. Oh no, it's not a
Oh,
hoax. I'm like,
yo.
why does it only become IRL in relation to you? Like,
So
it,
this is a whole rabbit hole that I guess I'm not gonna go too deep into right now, but it's selective individualism is like what I've been calling this, and it's something that like white people especially are more prone to do, which is essentially
what
like
is
we allow ourselves to have individual identities, but then love to like group other people together. Like we uh, like it's okay to like have stereotypes about other races or identities and all this stuff, but as a white person, like we generally don't like to be defined as white or like the idea of whiteness like oh that's not all of us like how many times have you heard that right like not all white people you know what I mean Um, and COVID falls under the same bucket, which is like if it hasn't happened to me as an individual or someone directly within my circle as individuals, like it's not real. Like it's like they can't process that there is a community outside of like that what happens in their life is affected by outside. Like I don't know,
Well,
it's hard to
see,
explain, but
yeah, because to me that's like horrifying. Like really, like it has to happen
it
to
is
you for.
horrifying.
That's like what, this is how come like
But
all
it's
the
being
zombie
proven.
movies. Yeah, all the zombie movies
Yeah.
are right. We would all
Yeah.
die. Like we were
I
gonna
will.
die. Like
Yeah, I'll never question like movies again that are like that where people are in disbelief of something that is blatantly real because like I'm watching that happen every single day.
man, dude, like oh man, yeah. So that's what we have to. That is what we have to do. Like we have to be the light and try to help our communities regardless where they're from. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like even like with VetsWhoCode, I try to help veterans. When it comes to like people in underprivileged communities, I try to I have that experience where I'm going to be working with these guys to make sure that they don't make the mistakes I made. Like, regardless whether they go when I go nonprofit, for profit, with Juneteenth comp, like, man, he wants to do so many things with that thing, and I'm like, yo, you already
Yeah.
put the tech community on its heels. Let's do it again and bigger.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's make sure they know that you're not a one-trick pony and you're not a fluke. And then that way, whenever you ask for money, they'll be like, yo, here's all the donations you need, brother.
Yeah. That's it.
And, that's the same way with Justin. I'm sitting there, I always, because Justin's one of those so talented, and he deals like sometimes when you're talented, you come off as cocky, but I'm like, he's not cocky. The kid is just good, and he's just aware that he's good, and people don't like that, like. And it's so funny dealing with both of them. Dealing with William, dealing with Justin is so amazing because, like, William doesn't know how like insane and crazy good he is, or he isn't aware of it. He just thinks that what he did was just a thing,
A thing.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, all right, so I don't like, what do I do next? And Justin is aware of his abilities, and he's like, I'm ready to like run it and gun it, and I'm like, yo, and I'm loving both of them because I'm like, yo, dude, it is so amazing to watch somebody like be completely oblivious. They just changed the role and one in our sector, and I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna like, I just like giving like Justin's like the person that you shouldn't give the keys to the Maserati to, but you give the keys to the Maserati to because you know that you're gonna either have a good time or a good story,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, right? So and it's the same, like, and I love it because that's like how it is with my veterans, right? Like, my favorite veteran right now, like my favorite D, like, and I have favorites, and I don't care. Well, it's a two-way split. Ben Winchester, who just got a job at Deloitte, and Steve Clark, who is building his store Angry Pickles from scratch.
Yes.
Those are my two favorites.
Angry pickles.
Like you,
Are those hot pickles?
yeah, go to
Hang
yes,
on. Let me flip this over.
yes, and like, cause like first and foremost, I mean, let's get on Steven, right? Steven is amazing. Steven Clark is a 20-year Marine, like who also like does heavy duty cycling. Yeah, he's rebuilding this all in
This
Gatsby
is
and serverless
cool.
tech, right?
Yeah.
So like that's his project that he's working on,
Yeah. I'm
and
gonna
he's
get
like,
some pickles.
yeah, like please get some, like, because that helps him like get resources to
Yeah.
build a
Support
website.
that business. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very
veterans in
cool.
business. But I was like, so what do you do in your off time? He's like, I make pickles, and I was like, wait, what? Like, did a Marine just tell me he makes pickles on his off time? Like,
Yeah.
am I getting rickrolled right now? Are you trolling me? Like, are you really messing with me right now? And this
I
time,
love pickles.
like, no. And then Ben Winchester, Ben, like he's at Deloitte now, but Ben's claim to fame in our VetsWhoCode channel. He made an API called Jerome Says. He went on the internet, took a bunch of pictures of like had of me over the years. And like he does his little bubble. Like whenever I say something he doesn't like, he does Jerome says and it does this. And like it says the thing that I don't like. Like I'm like, get your lazy ass in your repo. And then he has it say that. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? And so
That's
now
hilarious.
yes, it was a low. It's like it's a RESTful API, and what they're
Yeah.
doing now is they're using Lambda functions in AWS, and they're going to turn that into a bot in the channel. And I found this out yesterday that one of the VWC core people is like working with him, Andrew James. Is my I'm gonna et you because like I'm a gangster. That's how I do it. Andrew is working with him with AWS and Lambda functions to work and build it. And they're also going to be using some GraphQL and Apollo with this as well, right?
Hey,
So they can
that's some
handle these
compliment.
APIs as API and like have this bot do thing whenever they want to.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I've helped y'all get jobs. Y'all running around here like doing
just
like
trolling you.
I have helped you. The thanks you get is the thanks you give me is you make a bot to make fun of me in my own Slack channel. I'm like, you know what? I
The
I, I
audacity.
fully I fully expected this from a bunch of army dudes. Like it's
Yeah.
cool. It's like, and that's the best part about it. Like in the end, like we're all military,
Yeah.
so like it's just like I said, I think that's a beautiful part about being underrepresented communities. Like we have that connection. Like
Yeah. It's like the
whether
community
I'm
is
in
there.
yes, well, like we make they still make fun. Like they know my story, and they'll still say that I'm chair forest, and I never I've never worked in a place with no air conditioning. And I was like, yeah, and it's so funny because everybody knows, like, yo, didn't you take an L for us?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, yeah, I took an L for the country. And he's still talking shit. Like it's awesome. Like, and that's the beauty. Like that's my brothers. They're like, yo, they still gonna clown me, even if they clown me. Same way, like when I hang out with the black community, African American community.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, we still like Justin and I still talk mess. Like Justin, he'll DM me like a meme or something and say, oh, this is from your hometown, Memphis. I'm like, that's not from Memphis. He's like, yeah, I just want to let you know that. I think your hometown is garbage. I was like, okay, that may be true, but you ain't gotta say that. I'm like, you know what? Being very Atlanta bougie right
Yeah.
now. And like he met my wife and I. He's like, oh, y'all bougie bougie. I was like, we're not bougie. We're old. There's a difference. We're in our 30s. Like we are
We're in our
mature. Like
30s.
like I'm not bougie. Like, I did all the dumb stuff in my 20s. Now it's time to sit back and like I don't know, get some like red bottoms. Like don't be hating on me. Like some equity and
Yeah.
stuff now. He's y'all cool. It's just so funny. He tries to put in he's hilarious. Like these guys and girls. Who's my favorite girl? Like there's a who used to give me the hardest time? Carla. Carla, she used to give me the hardest time in class about D3JS. And now she loves D3JS. And I'm like, I can't
No.
believe you. You get a job and now you're like, oh yeah, I like
If
D3.
if there's
And I'm
anything to
like,
get upset
well,
about though, it's D3. Like, once you know it,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
great, but oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, she was like, there is no reason for us to learn this. I'm like, we would never use this on a job. I was like, this is to help you get better at
Yeah.
JavaScript. Like, I'm not saying you never use it. Like, if it's hard and it sucks, you're gonna be better at the easy stuff. And she's like, that makes the dumbest sense. And she got her job, and she's like, you know what? In retrospect, G3 wasn't that bad. I was like, wow, really? Did you just say that to
That's
me?
hilarious.
Like she held like two mutinies. Well,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
almost mutinized like which is the funniest thing in my life. I've never thought that I would turn on my computer and there'd be at me like talking mad at me about D3. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Ironically though, I do not teach D3 anymore because I do not like the idea of a bunch of angry veterans on the other end of my computer screen mad at me about D3.
Yeah, right?
So yeah,
Yeah.
it worked. Uh, just all around like hilarity has ensued because like like what I do is the most amazing thing on earth, which is help people. Like I either through hands-on helping veterans or indirectly like having conversations with people in other communities who want to
Yeah.
like help other like communities and like here's some mistakes, here's the stuff that didn't work, here's the stuff that did work. You take this pile, you go right here. This is why this didn't work. Take this pile, go right like here's why it didn't work. So that way when someone asks you why you didn't do this, you already have this case study. And like I'm always open about the W's and L's. So I was like, no, I want to have a physical place. But then it was like, oh, when you're young, people don't trust you, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel like I can like, and it's so weird. Like my board now, they're very ideal. Like, you know, it's so funny because I have like Brian Holt, Kyle Shevlin, Kerry Youngman. I have Amanda Kasari. I have Alex Reyes. I have all these people on here now, and they look at me like I'm brilliant, and I should go out there and be raising like millions of
That's what
dollars.
I feel like.
And I'm like, it's very funny that you say that because I remember when I was 20 and people didn't like think I could do the job
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
right? And they thought I was crazy the whole time. So like they're saying that I have to like learn, I have to do things differently. So like that's what I'm like. Okay, well, now let me do things. Let me do things in a different manner.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that too about like taking you seriously and stuff like that. Did you hit any issues when you started VetsWhoCode? Well, I mean, like you got invited to the White House, so that I'm sure that really helped with a lot of things. But what was it like in the beginning? When you were first
Oh,
trying to get started up? Because now I feel like you're such a common name in the community, and VetsWhoCode I feel like is very known. But it couldn't have always been that way. So.
oh no, people thought I was ape shit, right? People thought I was crazy. Like I never forget being in a room. People were like, "Can veterans even code?" Here I am, a veteran that can code, and people were like, "Can vets even code?" I was like, "Yes, veterans can code." Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking
anyone
about?
can. I got
Yeah,
the same thing with like ex offenders with felons, right? It's like, oh, like people who have been to prison can learn to code, you know?
sorry, my dogs are losing their someone's came
No
up to me.
worries.
But yeah, and that's crazy because it's already been done. Like last mile, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're just coming with right? You're like trying to be the little Dicky of it, which is super
Little
like
Dicky.
little Dicky. That's who William Shakespeare would be. William Shakespeare,
Oh!
what right
Oh my
there,
goodness.
right there,
Okay.
little Dicky and William Shakespeare.
Yes,
That's who it. How
I
damn
agree.
how like Little Dicky is amazing. Like the way he
The
does
it's
rapping and his
blows
raps,
my
he
mind.
actually has bars, man. Like
Yeah.
man, like
Have
who
you seen
could
his
like
show on Hulu? Dave, I think
oh,
it's called.
I want to watch it. I've heard good things, but I also am like the most busy person on earth
Yeah,
as a
right. Yeah.
so I like even like part of the secret. Like people say my secret sauce is discipline. Like no, my secret sauce is like not doing things. Right, I minimize the amount of stuff I do. Like I don't watch TV like that. Like I don't, we don't watch TV. I don't watch TV and I start watching TV around 9 or 10, and I'm usually out by 10:30. So like we don't watch TV till the very end of the day. Uh, we have to pay our dues or pay the tax in the form of cardio before we do that. So I go 30 minutes on a rowing machine. She jumps on her bike and she does 30 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Like I said, 20, 30 minutes of reading and then helping people all day. Like right now, what I am focusing on for the month of July to really step my game up is two things: Angular and writing. Right, I have
Oh.
elements of style that I'm going through right now,
Yeah.
and focusing really hardcore on my writing capabilities, so I can become a better
Smart.
writer and like blogger. Because I want to. Like being an author is like my childhood dream, and so I'm getting these
Cool.
opportunities now to be able to write and write
Yeah.
books and blogs and stuff. Like, no, I want to do it. Like, no, I want to do it right. So, yeah, my mama see Jerome Hardaway on the book. No, that's a banger right there.
Yeah, seeing your
Like
name on
that's
a
like
as
what.
author of a book, that's big.
Oh, man, that's gonna be like, and like people have been coming up to me and asking me for a more mainstream book about nonprofits. Like, I just got off a phone call today where they were like asking me to do a talk about how to modernize nonprofits, and I did a talk 2 weeks ago
Oh,
about modernizing nonprofits, and like people keep asking me, how did you do this? Like, because I'm very open, and I did our budget. The VetsU code is anywhere around between 53 to $7,000 a year. Like this year, it might break $10,000. That's because we're adding so many new things. But like
yeah,
that is how much money it costs to operate VetsU code, and that's because
it's
like
amazing.
a remote tech first organization, and we leverage technology and the understanding of technology super heavy, right? And this lady was like, your numbers and what you've done and how you've done it, like, and how you like, I was like, no, I dedicate maybe 2, 3 hours, like, to VetsWhoCode a day. And she was like, but you got W's that people who've been 10, 20 years in the game don't have. Like, you have W's that you're about to lap people who have been in the game of VSOs since VSOs were a thing,
Yeah.
right? She was like, because I was born August 1st, and I think August 1st, 1986 was like the first month like VSOs could get like their charitable solicitation IRS like exemption from like the IRS, right? So
Yeah.
the day I was born was the day VSOs
That's
were
wild.
born, and like people are like,
Written in the stars.
you're lapping people who have been in this game since the 80s already. Like, and I'm very open about it being open source, and people think it's shocking that I don't want to move on full time and I don't want to be fundraising and full. Like, no, because it's not
It's not
necessary.
what
Like
it's
when it
about.
gets
Yeah.
exactly, like this is about helping people. This is like my mission is to help people who serve this country to put food on the table using
Yeah.
current skills, right? Because I know how it feels to come home and have like put boot to ass for your country, and then someone turn around and say thank you for your service, but we can't hire you. So like that's what I'm here for, right? That's my mission. So that's the thing I'm trying to fight, and it's pretty like I get paid in spades, right? Like I've been in this game, in this tech game for 6 years, and where I'm at today, like everybody on my team's been writing code for 20 years, and I'm an equal to like one of my coworkers. He has 3 books already, like 3 books on .NET. So I'm never gonna read them. I'm joking, Josh Bach, if he's.
Don't. Yeah.
uh,
Disregard.
yeah,
Disregard.
yeah. So like that's what like he has books. Ted Neward has books. Woody, I think, is either has a book or might be working on one. They all have done like big speaking conference. Chris Demars, like Chris is
Yeah.
HTML CSS like boss. Like we make jokes. I'm the JavaScripter provocateur, and he's a CSS style bender. Like we were like, oh, I
Style
was
bender. I
excited.
love
Yeah, I
it.
called style bender. I'm like, what's up, fam? And like, so I got this rock star team. I'm like, holy crap! I'm like the junior on the team, but they're like, no, you're super talented, but you're like, I've been in this game not even a decade yet,
Yeah.
and these guys have been 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy crap, man. Like, so I tell people all the time, like, I just get like 10, 15 years of, paying my dues because of the work I do. I don't really feel like, I like VetsWhoCode owes me anything, right? Like, I don't feel like the need to have to go full time. Like, it's paying me in space. Everything I've learned, everything I've done has helped me become a better programmer, helped me become a better leader, and got me to where I am today. So why do I was like, how much more money I can make in tech in the course of my lifetime versus like going full time with VetsWhoCode? Are you insane?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm never getting out this tech game. I'm forever gonna be a part of this. I'll jump to the board and like hire an executive director before I do that.
Yeah.
Like, no, like what tech has done for me and for my family, and like what I've been able to do with tech. Like, no, I've never like. I'm in this game. Drag me out this game. I'm gonna be that 70-year-old slanging JavaScript. Like,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
Seriously.
Like,
And it's so funny because like I feel like every couple months or half a year like the stupid passion conversation comes up and it's like I don't
I
understand.
don't believe it.
Oh gosh, I don't. Yeah, ugh, it drives me absolutely bonkers because like passion is an emotion first of all. Like how are you going to use that to measure whether or not somebody is going to be good at something at anything?
Exactly.
Like I could be super passionate about like being a figure skater, that doesn't mean when I put on skates and get out on the ice then I'm gonna be doing like triple axles and stuff. You know what I mean?
The only time passion even matters is when you're attaching the ability to acquire a skill. Like when you have to have some type, like I want to your passion, right? Like you could be, I love comics, right? As we've studied, right? I'm so passionate about comics that I swear, if it wasn't for like VetsWhoCode, I probably would have been a comic writer, right? Because I love comics. We had that conversation about Namor and all this other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? So, like, that's the idea behind passion. But to say that, oh, you can't work for someone because of passion, you don't understand. Like, people, your job as a company is not to be looking for people who already have passion. It is to ignite that passion. That's part of the problem with tech. Like, we try to offboard a lot of the old guard try to offboard as
Yes.
much as they can to other things like, oh, you need to already come in passionate. Oh, we're not hiring juniors and entry level
Yep.
developers.
Oh,
I'm like, only way entry and junior level developers become mid level and
seniors.
senior developers and engineering developer managers is if we take them. Like, take a shot, like, or I manage your team. Like, they have their most talented senior developer pushing code. Well, no, your most talented senior
All
developer
day
should
long.
be assisting the people who aren't as strong, so that way you get that knowledge transfer.
Yeah.
Like, that's what, like,
Yeah.
this stuff is this knowledge, the skill of how to do this has already been written for you. Like, hello,
Yeah.
I'm military. We wrote the book for you on how to be an effective leader, and they're just not listening, and they're not,
No.
and if the military was like, oh, you already have to like have like a high marksmanship score before
What would?
you
How would that
we
work?
would be the worst military on earth. Like, no, we take what you want to do and we put the passion and the investment in you so that
Yeah.
you can truly blossom and be the best version of yourself. That's how the military works. That's how tech companies should work, especially how much money tech companies make. Like, you can invest in a junior. Right. So, and your
Yes.
interns, God's sake, like while we're at the junior and entry level, pay your interns. If you like,
Hey, everyone
if
who
you
does anything for you,
if
ever.
you're paying $1 billion to you, if you get making $1 billion in revenue, you should definitely be paying your interns. So,
Right.
like, that's just and that's like the thing that I really like. I like when I told people on Twitter, like, I feel like I'm not doing enough because I'm like, no, there are other problems in the world I have to like solve. And they're like, Jerome, you don't have to solve these problems. Like, but who will? Because I'm the only person that like I care about all these problems equally. Like, no, they
Yeah.
all matter. Like, where's the Avengers? Kyle Walsh and we make fun. I made fun of it about like, yo, I need an Avenger protocol. Like, I need to be
Yeah.
Nick.
You can.
I do.
Yeah.
I need to create the tech Avengers. Like, I need a Nick Shield type person that will like deploy us to solve all of the tech community problems and help create those tools. That's what I want. Like, I want to become like the tech Avengers, and
Yeah.
like people like, yo, that is wild, right? So that's what I want to do. Like, I feel like our community is at a I feel the tech community in itself, regardless of what stack you're at, what's happening is that we are at the cusp of something really crazy where we can either go left or we can go right. And what's going to happen is we are going to be like I said, I keep going to this Promethean analogy, but because we're tech, that's what we are. We bring the fire, we bring the heat. So like we're either going to do this thing, we're going to like level up as like entire community in its like entirety and showcase like what the world can truly be if we decide to care about everybody,
Yeah.
right? Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody. So like not, and like that's where we're so close to that. And you're gonna see your adversary is gonna pop up, but that's why you need the tech Avengers. So like when Mr.
Yep.
Unwoke HR website pops up, like we're like,
Oh my
nah,
goodness.
come to Papa. Let's go. We're gonna have to nah, we're gonna put you down. Like, no, we're not dealing with this today. Like, we did not come this far for this like stuff. And like that's like because that's part of the thing. We have to police the world now to protect everybody in a sort of a way because now because of we're trying to make this accessible, we also have to understand that with great power comes great responsibility, and not everybody wants to do that responsibility. So like, I remember 2017 when we were dealing with the problem, like I almost like completely shifted all my gears and I stopped focusing on VetsWhoCode because I saw the rise of alt-right tech. But it turned out that most of those people were so bad they ended up going to jail and like stuff anyway, so I didn't have to do anything. But I was
Yeah.
like, okay, country needs me again, so let me go over here
Grab the
and
shield.
like, yeah, shield up, like because I can't, and that's like though, and that's the weirdest thing of being because like I'm a veteran. People think I'm supposed to be conservative. I'm like, no, I'm not conservative. I'm like, I mean, I was like, I would be conservative if you guys like, stop with all the racism and
Yeah.
sexism and let
Right.
I'm on paper a blue dog Democrat. Like essentially I'm a boy dad, right? I don't open my pocket because I know y'all gonna do something silly with it. So I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm liberal as hell. I believe in everybody should be able to do the things to make them happy, and not as long as they're not hurting each other,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's the
So
limit on
people
freedom
should
is
love
that.
they people
Yeah.
should love who they want to love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only limit on freedom is the responsibility to ensure that you're being safe towards yourself and
You're
others,
not
right?
harming
Like that's the
others.
only limitation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to everything else, I'm very like, okay, whatever. But like I said, I'm a boy dad, and boys like, my kids will run me my pockets for like V-Bucks, right? Now, it's like I'm hoping to get a little girl, and then like if I'm a girl dad, I'm probably gonna be like full blown liberal because that's how girl dads are. Like
Yeah.
girl dads, man, like all my friends are girl dads. Like y'all just pay, like y'all just throw money.
Yeah.
Like where's college fund? Like where's
Where's
the
God?
like no go Where's the go? No, you got to take out the garbage first. Where's the?
Yeah.
You got to go mow the lawn for that. Nah, girl dads are like. She asked for $5. Why did you give her 500? Like, what
Yeah.
is going on? Like, you actually try to buy a pony? Like, girl dads are like.
They will try to
I'm
buy a
like.
horse. Like they'll
You're a
do
girl
it.
dad, right? Like so, like that's like girl dads are insane. Like you see
Yeah.
15-year-olds with Mercedes and stuff. I'm like, wow,
Oh,
girl
or like
dad.
those like Sweet 16 parties that are like look like the
In a castle,
Emmys.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No. Yeah, that's funny.
legit girl
Oh,
dad. I just laugh like, yo,
yeah.
I'm like, I want a little girl just so I can be like the worst girl dad
Girl
ever.
dad
So y'all
ever.
can
Oh
just
yeah.
like, yeah, like I just want to spoil her rotten. Like the boys
Yeah.
are still like, I try to be disciplined with them, but I also don't want to have to pay for all their therapy. So like I am. I have a limit.
For
Like I
sure.
tell people, like you have to strive to be a good parent because you don't
Really
want to
good
have to
parent.
deal with the therapy like later, right? You want to minimize that, right? So
Yeah.
like beyond like the lessons of like integrity, service, and excellence, I really try not to be anything beyond that with them, right?
Yeah.
Like, always
For
push,
sure.
always be, a service to others and do your best and like, tell the truth, even when no one's looking or you think you might get away with it. Like, those are our, like, worked in the military in this house, those are the big three rules here, right? Like integrity,
Yeah.
excellence, and service. So like help people when you can. Like, easiest way to get like
It's great.
allowance and stuff around here is helping your mom
Do
without your mom
something.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, we have
that's
like the chore board and then they get rewards if they go through a whole week and complete everything on the chore
I don't
board.
I don't do the chore board because I
Nah.
think, like, yeah, my ideas with the chore board is like that comes into service. And they know, like, you got to create this environment. You have to cultivate an environment that they know that they're going to be taking care of the right thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's my job as a parent is to cultivate the environment that you ain't got to worry about that. You want to like. Uh, One of our kids, the 13-year-old, he wanted a PC. Mom gonna get him a PC. I ended up putting it together, and it's about, well, you're a pretty good kid, so you're 13, so
Yeah.
you're 13. Oh my god, which is like 13-year-old boys are like, I've done this twice. I'm about to do it a third time. Yeah, I don't know how much. I'm like, this might be the last time. I might like, I
I
don't know
got a
what's gonna happen,
while.
y'all.
I got a good few
Uh,
years
that's it.
before teen years.
You should just go ahead and start stocking up on your whatever's your alcohol of choice now. And that is my professional opinion. Is that if you have alcohol of choice that like takes the pain away, get it now and just leave it
Put it
in there. So that
somewhere.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, because like they're teenagers do things like teenage boys anyway. They do things. I mean, you ask them why they did it, they're like, I don't know. And you're like, they really don't know why they did that.
Really
Like, it's a
don't. Yeah.
nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't know. Like, teenage boys are so bad that they make you like randomly call your parents and apologize. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the whole 13 through 17. I don't even know what I'm apologizing for. I'm just that 5 year span. We just gonna like call that a mulligan. I love you. Okay, thanks. Bye. You need any money? Like, want me to get a gift? Like, I know I already gave you a birthday gift, but I'll give you some more. Like, that's literally how like that's what teenagers make you do. They make you like just appreciate your parents more.
Yeah.
Like, you did this
Yeah.
and
You
you did
survived
this and
us.
you didn't, yeah, you didn't kill me. Like, yo, you the MVP, man. Like, yo,
You're the real champ here.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, my relationship with my dad has gotten so much better since I become a dad. Like, yo, I get it. I'm sorry. Like, I love you, man. So, like, that's how, like, that's what it's about, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to, like, survive teenagers. But like here, like, that's what we try to do. We just try to cultivate an environment of like do the right thing so you don't have to ask. It's so funny because they're always blowing their mom up for like V-Bucks because they know I'm gonna be like, what have you helped grandma? Have you
Yeah. What
helped
have you
anyone
done?
today? Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like what have you done to put where's your 1% of the day at? Like what 1%? No.
What are
Like
you talking
he's gonna
about?
ask us, yeah, they know what I'm talking about. I
Oh
have this
yeah,
thing
yeah,
where I
yeah.
tell them, like, yeah, the mission, the goal is to, be 1% better every day. And they're like, no, that means we have to do stuff. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what that means. Go away now. Like,
That's so
like,
funny.
what's the 1% you paid? Like, what's the good thing you've done for the day? Like, there you go.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
go away.
that's
Like,
awesome.
even though I did teach teenager how to cook, and I was very happy about that.
Oh, that's
So,
important. Yeah, that's an
but
important
yeah,
skill. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah,
look,
that's all. That's my life story. I do everything.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So we're at an hour and a half, which like flew by. I can't even believe it's already been an hour and a half. But yeah.
Because
Right? Yeah, just like chilling, talking. Yeah, but yeah. So I think this is probably like a good time to wrap up. So I wanted to say, like, what else would you want people to know about VetsWhoCode? What could people be doing if they're interested in helping? Like, you got a couple minutes. Still, floor is
the
yours.
primary focus that we're looking for right now in VetsWhoCode, two primary focuses is we're trying to convert most of our older classical donors just to our GitHub sponsors because that makes it
Oh,
easier for us
nice.
with like sending updates and stuff. Because you can be a GitHub sponsor, I can send you an update directly from GitHub, like the things that we're building and things we're doing and who got a job, all this other stuff, right? It's super cool. So that's one thing. And second thing is just like, come and say hi. We're always looking for mentors. We're always looking for people that want
Yeah.
to hire veterans. Like our veterans are they know everything. They know how to code, but they also know how to work as a unit, right? Work in dev companies and tech companies because we run the program like a dev tech company. Kanban, GitFlow are the
Slack.
first two classes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Slack, Jira boards. Like they know we have Jira now. um, they're in all of these things. They're Confluence, they're in our AWS Lambdas. They're doing all of this stuff because this is like the type of stuff that we're pushing, in our organization. Because like, no, you gotta learn this stuff because this is what
Yeah.
everybody else is doing. So Apollo and GraphQL, like, we're pushing that. You're looking for people that know Apollo GraphQL, AWS, JavaScript, React, Gatsby, understand workflows like Git workflow or and Kanban or Agile because we actually teach them about Sprint. You want people who actually learned like how to use accessibility from the ideas from like my experience accessibility because I spent a year cleaning up CBSI's accessibility
Yeah.
mistakes and then I took that information and taught all the veterans in our
That's
in
great.
our
Yeah.
squad about that. And like so they learn production level accessibility gotchas. Like when $10 million lawsuits on the line, accessibility takes a different hit.
Yeah, it
Um,
matters all of a sudden, right?
yeah, but I teach them that. So if you're looking for people that have these skills, because everybody's teaching them is a programmer and on a production site at a company, then hit us up. Like contact,
Yeah.
use the contact form, and I'll hit you back up, or use the chat widget if you're trying to get in contact with me. I go to my phone. People blow me up all the time. So
Yeah, yeah, awesome, cool. So I've dropped a bunch of those links in the chat. I've been flipping us back and forth to the website and showing everyone around so they can take a look at that as well. Yeah, and so yeah, that's awesome. I just want to
oh,
thank
and
you one more
it's on
time. Oh, go
GitHub
ahead.
as well. Like I said, it's on
Oh
GitHub
yeah,
as well.
let's go look at GitHub.
As well as our syllabus. If you go to GitHub and go for VetsWhoCode organization.
Okay, here I'm gonna jump to the GitHub link to VetsWhoCode. Let me drop this in the chat. Yeah, you can sponsor from here as well.
Yeah, so you see our pre-work curriculum, the web app, the
Yeah.
API list. We're working on a thing called the FNG tracker. That's a play on being a veteran. Like we call new military people FNGs,
Okay.
new guy.
Okay.
And yeah, it's so hilarious because Amanda, she's an engineering manager at Google at Google Cloud, and
Yeah.
she was on Twitter. She's like, I'm just going through GitHub, and I went to the VetsWhoCode GitHub, and I saw FNG tracker, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I was like, because it's been years since I've seen that acronym, but
That's
it's so
hilarious. Yeah.
ingrained that
Yeah.
that's what we're working on. Like, yeah. We call it our FNG tracker, and we're building that out so like teachers can like track students easier. Like, and we're actually playing around with a bunch of different ways to build it now. Because like one guy started off in TypeScript. Now I'm like, no, we're gonna move that back to JavaScript and or Ruby. Like that's another way that I would like to do it. Like I don't know why I want to. Like I used to write Ruby. Ruby is my first language,
Yeah.
and I love it. So like we're playing with that as well. So like it's just we're having a lot of fun. Like
Yeah.
that's like the next big project. Like so like that we're working on.
That's awesome. That's cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah. Well, I feel like we covered a lot. Thank you again for taking the time
Yeah.
and coming on and chatting with me. I've learned so much from you both now and prior to this. You helped me a lot. I talked to you recently about starting a nonprofit. Yeah, I would pay for a book or like a course or something on that. Like talking about like starting these remote nonprofits and like modernizing nonprofits. I think you should, there's something there.
Uh, People keep telling me to do it, but I feel like that's something
It's a
that goes down to
workload.
my Promethean. No, it just goes down to my Promethean like ideals. Like, oh, everybody wants me to do it. I'm like, but I don't want to get
You're
paid for
not,
it. I feel like
yeah,
this should be the way nonprofits should be done.
yeah.
And people are
That's
looking at
cool.
me like, you're crazy. Uh, but
Yeah,
yeah, like so. Yeah. And thank you for inviting me, and I'm
of
hoping that
course.
like you have to return the favor, you come and talk to my veterans, like
Oh,
for a slight side
absolutely.
chat, and yeah, you can Apollo and GraphQL it up,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely. I would also, yeah, we should talk because I'd love to volunteer some time to help maybe get GraphQL and Apollo curriculum, uh, in there as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
well, I think we have that in phase 3. If you go to our curriculum,
Oh, nice.
uh, yeah, in product phase, no, yeah, phase 3
Heck yeah.
on GitHub, we have
Oh,
block
full
3.
curriculum. That's
Yeah,
what I'm looking for. Yeah. This is awesome.
yeah. Like I said, like I put in a lot of, as you see,
Yeah.
it took us 18 months to make this.
Wow. Yeah, this is amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
add all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well,
So
yeah.
we're
So
all,
sorry, I keep cutting you off, diving right in the middle.
no, go for it. Go
Uh,
for it. Like, no, that's like, I'm very proud of that because it took us 18 months to figure that out. So,
yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I mean, curriculum is so difficult. I think it like often gets kind of brushed under. Is like not only is it hard enough what you've done with the nonprofit side, but in order to distill down a curriculum that is easy enough for people new to coding, but gives production, like, like real world experience, it's like to walk that line is very hard.
It is very hard to go through the process of education while adding value because you have to think. Um, I think in terms of user stories, right? So it's not just it's the person I am teaching, but it's the person who I'm teaching and do the job
Yeah.
for as well. So I have to think about the company and the student, right? So that is my that is my ideal like when it came to curriculum. It took like I said, it took me 18 months of research and like talking to people and like just following the trends. And like that's been the first like it's just been like we're what we like to call in the black. Like right now the technologies that we are teaching are still so modern and so
And
like the
relevant.
norm and relevant that we don't see ourselves not like having to do any major changes for like the next like 12 to 16 months, which is
Yep.
awesome, right? So now
That's great.
we just focus on the deep dive, which is
That's
awesome.
cool.
Like, you know, for us,
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah, look at it. Week 14, GraphQL, all schemas, definition language, Scholar, object types, validations, query mutation types, revolvers, interfaces, and auth. And
Love
they
it.
use Apollo with that the whole time. So,
Cool.
yeah,
Well, awesome. Well, then, yeah, maybe I could just come out, help some people out with some projects, do whatever. Yeah, and I would love to do a fireside chat, and we'd love to have you back on the stream if ever you want, or maybe some vets who come through your program might cook something up that they want to show off, and yeah, just let us
yeah,
know.
that'd be cool. I got a guy, Nate Hanks. He just did something with Apollo in the channel,
Nice.
like that. I don't even. I saw it, and I just saw the Apollo and GraphQL. I was like, oh yeah, I'm talking about that today. Let me get ready, so I could
Love
go
it.
back and actually read what he wrote.
Love it. Love it. Cool. Awesome. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you get your day back. I'm gonna let the chat get their day back. Thank you again for joining me. Been a pleasure. Captain America the web. Can't wait to see what else you do. Thanks, Jerome. It's been a real
All right.
pleasure. All right. And
Oh,
with that,
same here. Thank you guys.
yeah. And with that, we'll see you later, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you next time.